So, Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, I was invited as a guest to go to a preview, and you're not allowed to film or take photos, but nothing said you can't go give your honest opinion somewhere else. So that's what I'm doing. I won't try to say too much specifically, just in case, because they're really upset about that stuff. Uh, but without mentioning too much, the area itself, a lot of simulated rock work and a lot of concrete. So I feel that it is probably going to be absolute murder in the summertime, quite a bit like how Toontown is. Because there's plants, but there's not a whole lot, and it's probably going to be an oven in the warmer months. Uh, yeah, and then the fact that it's like surrounded by a lot of like fake rocks, it's probably going to be even worse than Toontown. Um, so the shops seem really small, which, I mean, it can kind of make it feel kind of like, oh, look, it's interesting. It's not huge, and like the Emporium on Main Street. Um, but the problem is they were already congested, and this was the preview, so I'm not really too sure how horrible that's going to be when it does open up to just everybody. Um, but even like I said, no, it was congested and it was stuffy. I noticed two shops, and yeah, the bigger one just whew, stuffy. And it was really kind of hard to tell who was a cast member there, just because they were wearing like a lot of khaki colors and like army green. So a lot of people wear that. Uh, it seems like elsewhere in the resort, there's less of an issue with finding a cast member just because they're wearing like either bright zany colors or they're dressed really nicely, like in New Orleans Square on Main Street. But in Galaxy's Edge, it's kind of hard unless they're wearing the silly hats. People outside have the hats on, ridiculous, which I guess was themed, yeah. But it just seemed a little bit silly. Uh, the the blue milk, the yellow one was so there's a sound effect right beside the big orbs of the milky substance that pretty much tells you how they taste because they looked chalky, and the yellow one, if someone had never had citrus but they tried to create it based on someone else's description of it in a lab and they failed at it, that's what it tastes like. It was really, really bad. It was overly sweet, and I felt that it really clung to your lips and your tongue and your mouth, so that for just 10 minutes after, it's just like, ugh, you still taste it. And it was a really bad texture, uh, because it was like icy paint, really. um, so the ride, I mean, not trying to spoil too much here, but some people say that it is just a simulator and that it is Star Tours, the sequel, and I'm not going to say yes or no. But it is a much smaller. It's a smaller vehicle that you're in, and even in the queue, my goodness, there was two hallways. They're small hallways, even the distance that you travel within them, but they felt very claustrophobic. Not a lot of air circulating, and just it seemed needlessly small. And of course, in those two areas is where I really noticed the line pausing for a few moments. Um, and it's really not going to be that big of an issue unless you struggle with it a lot. But if it does, just make sure you give yourself a lot of space between you and the people in front of you, just so you don't feel so enclosed. Now, for the ride itself, like I said, it's really, really small. It seemed to amplify the motion sickness for me. The entire time, it was kind of panicky just because it was so claustrophobic and because it was really sick to my stomach, and I was trying to find some place to kind of aim just in case, which nothing happened. But if it did, I didn't want to throw up on people. So, yeah, wasn't really a big fan. And again, not sure what to say, what not to say, but there's the boarding system. Like other rides, they give you passes, but this one is based on a color. So your group is a different color from the next group and the group before you. So it's kind of hard to tell them apart because they all kind of just seem like dingy gray shades. But if someone doesn't speak English very well, doesn't know their colors, if they don't have someone to translate for them, the color is how they like call you to come up to go on the ride. So if you don't know they're calling you, it's kind of hard to know to go up. Not really sure they're going to come get you. And if someone cannot hear, like they're deaf, again, how are you going to know that they're calling you? They also have to explain something to you, which doesn't ruin the ride if you don't do it, because unless you're really naive, it's pretty obvious that the ride is going to continue the way it's programmed to. But you certainly get much more enjoyment out of it if you understand the instructions. Again, not really sure what to say, what not to say. So it might be best to say less. So if you have any questions, you can ask them if you're watching. Does anybody watch this? Because I don't know if you do, but if someone is, and you have a question and it's polite and regarding the ride or the land, please just let me know.